Firstly, thank you very much for giving me opportunity to interview you for my YouTube channel and podcast.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me and also dealing with doing it over a different medium than you're used to. The medium you use, I can't hide my background until I get on the call. And right now, I've been under some police protection, so I can't show where I am at any moment right now.
Okay, so I thought to tell about you and the work that you are doing to my audience. Can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Certainly. My name is Chris Kubecka, and I am the Distinguished Chair of the Middle East Institute Cyber Program and CEO of an incident response organization called HypaSec in the Netherlands. And I identify as an ethical hacker and love to hack things, anything legally that I possibly can.
So I came to know that you worked in US also.
Yes, I for a long time ago, I used to live in the U.S. and I do currently work part-time for the Middle East Institute, which is based in Washington, D.C.
So I've gone through your Wikipedia page also. You worked for different organizations and made things possible.
Well, I try to. I also try to make things possible for, in many cases, executives and upper management to understand that cybersecurity, if it isn't considered properly, is going to take a real bite out of their behind and profits if they don't understand the risk and listen to their technical staff.
So what actually made you to come into cybersecurity?
Well, I started kind of young. Luckily, I had a parent who was in computers back in the day and dealt with robotic manufacturing and programming of that. And I had a very curious mind, like most kids. And there's so many of these funny pictures and videos of kids doing the wackiest things or getting in trouble, and you're like, oh, right. And so I ended up getting in trouble for hacking. And then when I became an adult, I was recruited by the US Air Force. And I think one of the reasons why I like to do what I do is because most cases we sit back in life and we can only watch powerlessly. We read the news, we get angry or happy, but even though we are told many times by our parents saying you can make a difference, the reality is when you get to be an adult, it's really difficult to do that. But because people like us and the people who are listening and watching are more technologically savvy, we're in a bit of a different type or class of individuals who understand all these ones and zeros and bits and bytes. And it doesn't matter what country you come from, if you don't have a fancy Harvard education, if your family didn't own half the town, you can actually do something with that technological skill that they can't. And you become, at least in my mind, I like to fantasize. We have these superpowers where we can actually make a difference where many other people can't, even if they're very, very wealthy.
So now you are a CEO. So what is your responsibility and what you do exactly?
Well, I only work for governments. I got a little frustrated years ago when companies would say, oh, China hacked us, when it was just a database full of their customers' information and passwords in clear text and no encryption. So what I do is I either advise governments and parliaments, or if there's an actual nation state attack, a real one, not a, oh, Russia, then they'll contact me and I'll get involved and try to set up the immediate incident response, coordinating with different teams and national level responders, and also legal and so forth. So I set up the initial incident management response for countries only.
So you experience all these things. So where these thoughts are coming from? Why people are doing these things and making you to work for it?
Money and power. It's the crux of everything. Can I make a quick buck? Can I do a spam campaign? Can I do some ransomware? Can I find out information that'll be good for my country during trade negotiations? That kind of stuff happens all the time. It used to be the thing of on movies, just old-fashioned espionage of putting a bugging device in someone's office. But now it is putting a piece of spyware on somebody's mobile phone before you're about to go in for a meeting to discuss if you should get vaccines for your country and how much, and if you do get those vaccines, how much will the country get who's giving it to them?
So what is the toughest thing that you faced and that you made it easy and you made it possible?
Well, I would say the toughest thing that still is a very tough thing is, and this is something that is a bit of a phenomena around the world. Very few countries have younger, tech-savvy politicians and legislators. So the majority of the world has a much, much, much older generation. They come with loads of different experience, but they don't come with much experience when it deals with computers. And getting across what is really the risk, what is really, what is the technology doing, has been difficult. Sometimes I get through to them, sometimes I don't. I'll give you a great example. We heard recently that there was another big leak when it came to a lot of politicians and wealthy people who were trying to not pay taxes. So similar to the Panama Papers leak, we keep seeing these over and over again. And in no way did anybody in this particular leak have any sort of cryptocurrency. But then shortly after, the US and a couple of European countries were like, we got to ban cryptocurrency because all of these people, they're not paying their taxes through cryptocurrency. And you're like, but they were using hard cash, nothing to do with cryptocurrency at all. So getting that through is difficult. At times, especially when we had this one US politician who said the internet was made up of a series of tubes, and he decided people's lives. So that's something I can sometimes get through, but it's still the biggest challenge, absolute biggest challenge.
So you are into IT from long time. You are seeing what is happening. The gradual change in data. People are coming. There is more traffic today compared to last 5 or 10 years before. So what is the difference that you are observing, and how you are able to find the negative in this and try to make it positive and give the great environment for the betterment of the society, for the government?
Well, I think some of the changes I've seen positive is increased broadband infrastructure. And I think obviously you and I are talking still during a pandemic and able to do that because we've got internet access. And that's been fantastic because it doesn't just enable this conversation, it enables many other types of services. I remember a few years back, I got into a car accident in Tanzania. They didn't have the local doctors to look over the x-rays, so they were able to use the internet to send the x-rays to India for doctors there to make sure I didn't break anything, more than just the car because somebody hit me. So it enables healthcare across long distances. It enables us to keep in touch when we can't visit our family because of either, money or border restrictions when dealing with illness or changes in government. And it enables many of us to work from home, especially think about many disabled people where they could sit in their wheelchair at home, but it would be really, really difficult to get into an office depending on where they are. So that's been phenomenal. It's been wonderful. But at the same time, the more connected people means the more targets for some cyber criminals. And it also means more targets for companies which are into marketing data and so forth to abuse us and take advantage of the fact that we all for the most part, want to share our lives with each other. So the downside is the more people connected, the more money is made off of us, unfortunately, by scrupulous individuals and companies.
So you're seeing what is happening inside the, inside the computer and inside the devices. So is it possible for us as a human being, as a technologist, to put firewalls and not to allow just some third person or some negative thinkers not to enter into our world?
Well, I think it is possible, but one of the challenges as well is security and protecting your privacy. We all want this, but it's not cheap. It's not affordable for everyone. So if you need a newer Android phone, for example, because your 3-year-old Android phone no longer gets updates, well, depending on if you have kids, family members you have to take care of, if you've lost your job, if you don't make that much money, you just can't get it. So what happens is your slightly older 3-year-old Android phone gets turned into part of a botnet to do different types of things like a spam attack or a DOS or whatever. So it's not affordable enough for the majority of the people on Earth to have proper security and privacy. And that is something that really needs to change.
They are not developers, they are not creators of the applications or the softwares. How they are able to know the loopholes and enter into the applications and try to steal the information?
Well, think of it like a burglar who is looking at your house. They didn't build the house. They might not know anything about architecture or understand what a load-bearing wall is, but they see an opportunity. They can look through the windows. Windows are kind of easy to break. They might see that your window, you didn't lock it, and nobody's home and nobody's around. And so they open it, reach in and grab what they want. They might find that your door is unlocked by mistake. I've even done that before myself and gone, no, I left the door. I once, a few months ago, I actually left a door open and didn't realize it for like 20 minutes as I was walking down the street and picking something up. And I'm like, well, thank goodness, nobody came in because this door was literally left wide open. Sometimes there were mistakes that occur with us, or sometimes it is a problem with the door manufacturer where the way it was built, it's very easy to push in or very difficult to actually get the lock to fully work. But a lot of these things are opportunities. When we look at some of the prices of stolen data, a medical record in the US might fetch you up to $100. And unfortunately, a lot of medical facilities have to make these hard decisions. Do we spend money on patient care, or do we spend money on security, which again is not cheap? It's quite expensive. And they're like, well, I want more kids to be able to come in the hospital and breathe, during the pandemic. So it's opportunity. It could be something that someone has a personal grudge against you and is trying to check you out. This especially happens a lot in the dating world, where somebody gets a little strange and does some very strange things. Or it could be the government themselves, depending on which government you're under, that is trying to maintain that power and tries to take advantage of people or companies. So it could be a lot of things. Normally, it's just the money and power thing. Sometimes it's a really, really bad axe.
So what is their confidence? Why they do these kind of acts? And do they think that we are not going to get caught and we are very smarter than the people who are trying to find us?
Well, sometimes there are situations where they know even if they get caught, not much is going to happen. Like came out in the news about a month ago that a private company in the United States that does US intelligence work for the government actually hacked into a company called Booking.com here in the Netherlands. They wanted to get information on who is making hotel reservations in the Middle East and basically in the Muslim world. And even though it was illegal, even though it was done by a private citizen working for a private company, not the US government, nothing will ever happen in that case. There are other cases where some countries don't have the laws. So let's say I'm in South Africa is a good example, because they don't have very explicit cyber laws against this type of activity. I could already have a private island doing all sorts of internet crime if I were based in South Africa, or if I were based in a few other countries like that. Because even if I get caught, what's going to happen? I'm not doing anything illegal, because it's not illegal here. And sometimes people do think, or companies that do hacking do think, well, I'm smarter than them. What's going to happen? Kind of like an evil villain with a laugh, right? And a lot of times that happens because if you go down, think about the situation. You've just had all of your devices hacked. You don't know who did it. And you're like, well, obviously they stole data from me. Or they stole money out of my account. Who do I go to? You might go to your local police. Your local police might still be using typewriters, and go, well, we don't know how to do any of this. And that happens a lot with local police. It's even happened here in the Netherlands when there was a particular time there was a hack against an embassy, and the local police in the Netherlands were like, oh, well, we don't know how to handle this. So police sometimes are unfortunately not up to date with all of this kind of stuff. And so even if it happened, even if the person who did it, the police might not be able to collect that evidence and do anything about it. So it's a pretty high probability still that you can get away with a lot of these things.
So what kind of crimes that you usually observe, that you usually experience?
Well, I observe data theft. That's a big one. Surveillance. So finding different types of spyware. That's also a big one. Another one is disrupting operation. So if you think that a file is supposed to go from here to there, it somehow becomes disrupted. So, for example, someone might be affecting the COVID test registration system. So suddenly, all of the clinics that take the tests cannot get the results to the government. Or in case of critical infrastructure, the things that power what we're doing right now, the electricity, trying to disrupt that is a big thing. So when the engineers are in the operating area, all of a sudden their screens will go blank. Now imagine if you're in a power plant and your screen goes blank and you're like, what's going on? I can't see if we're doing this safe, if we're getting enough electricity. So then they have to switch to another method. But disrupting behavior is quite frequent.
So what percentage of people do this, and from which country most of these crimes happens?
Oh, they happen everywhere. I've seen them in all sorts of situations, from rich to poor to refugee camps. Data is, I forget who coined the term, but someone had said years ago, data is like the new oil in terms of worth. And I've even seen a lot of medical or data about a person stolen on purpose, and because it's worth money, especially on the black market, if they can find certain types of data and genetic data to sell to unscrupulous companies. I've even seen, there was a case of a charity, an NGO, who was trying to help out a group of refugees. A tech company was like, hey, hey, why don't we give you this donation of all this new equipment? Unbeknownst to the charity, all of the data that they were collecting in their clinics was actually going back to this dodgy company who wasn't on the up and up. They were just set up to do this scam. And all of the medical data for refugees in a war-torn zone was actually sent up and probably ended up being bought up by a pharmaceutical company. So it saves them all this money. They won't admit to it, but it happens.
So how to know? Because a lot of people came into the internet after this pandemic because of work from home. Even students in my country, kids also are studying from home. They don't know what they are giving. They don't know they are secured or not. They don't know, they type whatever they want, and they put some card numbers and all. They put their family details in their social networks, and they trust the random people on the internet. So like you said, you experience a lot of all kind of effects, the negative effects. So why is that safe for you people are there securing us, but how a lot of people are, even non-technical people are coming into the internet, and not everybody knows how to what exactly happens deep inside the internet.
Well, it is a problem because we didn't have these many problems. At least I don't remember reading about them when the telephone, the old-fashioned telephone, came into being. There were some issues where people might talk randomly to a stranger, but when it comes to the internet, there's so much more information that can be collected from a conversation. For instance, if you and I were using a different program, it could be collecting some of the information about your computer or phone or system, your GPS on your phone, all of this information, as well as the make and model, and a company would be able to fingerprint you from that and start following you around with that, and could leave cookies and other pieces of information, so that, let's say the next thing you do is go shopping and you want to buy a new pair of trainers. They know exactly what size you wear, and then they start looking at the patterns. And then if a criminal hacker gets involved and they look at that information, they then can sell it on. Or if they see anything that they can get to blackmail you from, like a video might be on your phone between you and your partner, then they might say, hey, give me X amount or I'll leak this to the internet. And it's very interesting that we try to live our lives and we've been enabled and empowered with these devices. We can take pictures of things. We can share our lives, or we can share our lives with only a few individuals. But there's all these other dangers. And unfortunately, it boils down to a lot of governments don't understand how important privacy is to us. And when these types of things happen, it's not looked on as something that is particularly damaging. It's just looked on as, well, you have a phone, who cares? Which isn't the case.
So what is the biggest negative effect that you experienced?
The biggest negative effect, I would have to say, probably, at least now, I'm so used to not meeting with people, I forget that I can actually sometimes meet with someone outside, for example, because we happen to be in another lockdown, and more lockdowns are hitting. Now the go-to thing is not to actually see a person in person. And I think that happens to a lot of people, where it's like, oh, let's not meet down and get something to eat. Let's just do a quick video chat while my partner or parent or whatever makes me some food. So the social portion, I think, can be both a good thing, but also a bad thing, because we forget that being on video is not the same as being in person.
Have you experienced negative effects from AI?
I AI is a very interesting topic when it comes to negative effects, and the answer is yes. Um, Myself personally, absolutely. I think that and many other people, uh, developers, they try to do machine learning and artificial intelligence. Very, very noble. However, because these things are created by imperfect people and the data sets that they test are also from imperfect people, we get imperfect results. So if you try to look for a job, your CV, your resume might get kicked out because you have a last name that doesn't quite match in with their algorithms, or a first name that doesn't match in, or they might look up your postcode, and the algorithm might say, we don't want to get candidates from that area, we want candidates from another area, just based on where you live. On the other side, let's say you're watching good old YouTube, and you're looking up things like I used to use YouTube a lot for different types of research. And I was researching a talk on the effects of child pornography and how big it is. And this, although this was a few years ago, I still find it disturbing. As I was watching these videos and stuff, I kept getting these recommendations. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this recommendation is, and went down this rabbit hole of different groups that justify child pornography and relationships between adults and children. And it was really creepy. It's like, you want to wash your eyes out? Like, how can I do that? But the algorithm was recommending this, and here I was on a serious subject, and they're recommending really terrible things. So those are some of the negative effects, especially with the hiring. We're in almost around the world. Most countries have seen issues from the pandemic, people leaving the workforce for various reasons, or unfortunately dying. And yet we're using these AI algorithms to try to fill jobs. And you hear the complaint, we can't find anyone to work. Well, part of the problem, not just paying people more money, is also a lot of HR organizations are using these AI-based algorithms to sort through resumes, and they wonder why they can't get people.
So YouTube AI or any other, Amazon AI. So any application which is recommending the similar products or similar things, I'm sure you will be experiencing this. You will be observing this a lot. There is a lot of change in applications if you observe in last 5 years till now. So this change, this is also affecting the mindsets of the people. This is actually making people to think in certain way, sending some information that, if suddenly they clicks on some video or some product, it suggests the same. Before 3 years, I used to see some videos. It used to send me different videos rather than sending me the similar videos. But now if I see the same video, the same videos are coming, but I'm not able to get the videos from which have been created in Japan or China or any other country, the content creators. So this AI is playing, is playing and making people to think in certain ways. So as an observer, as a person who is too much into internet, so what is a possible way that makes individual to develop positively and have a self morals and what to do and what not to do?
Ooh, well, trying to break out of the AI bubble so that you are still a real human being is getting more and more difficult. It's a challenge because in many ways, artificial intelligence can make life easier for us. We might not know the exact search term to find a Japanese creator, But if you're using good AI, it can pick up on this stuff and go, hey, why don't you watch this? Or why don't you see this? If you're using bad AI, it will say, why don't you only watch our corporate overlord sponsors and only the big names? And there is this danger of changing the way that we think, changing the people that we interact with online because an AI algorithm tells us we should be talking to this person or listening to this person or this group, and it might not be good. It's very difficult. I don't have a perfect answer, but I can say that try to check out some of these AI enabled services that you use without logging in. Create a different account on a different browser, so it's harder to tie them to you. And do one search in one area in one browser and do another in the other, and see how far apart they are. And remember that this on the other browser is the side that you'll see that they haven't figured out who you are yet. And you might get much better results. And you can start looking at the differences of like, wow, I would have never gone to that if I'd known about the real thing, right? But it takes a bit of work. And it's a shame that we're being trained. I come to mind trying to train the dog I used to have how to sit and how to not pee in the house. But we're humans. We don't usually need to go through all that. But I agree with you. The AI is doing a lot of that.
Do you work daily? Do these people put you a challenge every day?
Every day. I have not had a vacation for 11 years.
Oh my God.
I need a vacation.
Okay.
So I planned on one for this year now. Finally. There's always something going on. I mean, information and the internet is at the speed of light, and so are crimes, and so are disagreements by governments over Twitter that could, thank goodness he's off Twitter, but can change our lives. And it happens so quickly and so constantly that I'm working every day. Yes.
So you're into you're understanding this from 11 years. Have you ever thought that something that works for every country person? I mean, a human being who works in every country, that actually helps. That is common, and that helps. If every person thinks this point, we can reduce the number of the rate of crime online.
Well, I think there's two things. And I'm a bit opinionated about this, but I deeply believe that a lot of security vendors make their products extremely difficult to use for non-tech people. And so I think that if security products and privacy products were easy to use, like, all right, I got this new phone. Do you want to share your data or don't you? No. Boom. Easy. I also think that the cost, if the cost was lowered, not everyone can afford, like I've got back home when I am there, a commercial firewall that costs 2,500 euros. And how many people can afford that? Every home should be able to have something like that for 30 euros, and it protects the entire household, including any kind of phone or anything that you connect. An antivirus on your desktop shouldn't cost $60 a year for every desktop. That could be mother, father, and 2 or 3 children. That's too much money. So lowering the cost so that more people can afford these things will instantly change the landscape. So will an easy button of, no, I don't want to share my data, or yes, I want to make this more secure. And then a lot of changes are automatically done for the non-tech user.
So you are seeing internet till today. You have seen, and you're going to see internet tomorrow also. So in coming days, Elon Musk recently said that if you don't be careful with AI, it is going to be very dangerous. AI is going to be more dangerous than nukes. So
Yeah.
he already warned, and there are already bigger technologists already warning about AI.
Yeah.
But still, we are seeing the positive side of the AI, and we are trying to do automation and make things easier for mankind and for the betterment of the country and for the world. So in coming days, the AI going to a lot of my my friends, brothers, or they are taking this course in their engineering AI. So they are going to know this. So it is going to be developed. So what are the things, the human things, the natural things that need to have in a AI, that I has, intelligence has, which should be who is going to monitor this, who is going to have all the rights, and who is going to have the keys of that particular machine.
Well, that's a very good question. One of the things that's forgotten sometimes in technology, because we want new things that can help us out. And remember, things move at the speed of light, but we forget about the ethics of the technology. I can do this, but should I? And understanding when you're in artificial intelligence, you have to have your data sets as unbiased as possible. We've run into, excuse me, situations like the state of Florida in the US has been using an AI system. I think they finally got rid of it, but for a few years they were using this to sentence individuals after some sort of criminal case. And they found over and over again that people from certain socioeconomic backgrounds and a certain color of their skin would get sentenced for the same crime drastically differently. And this is a human being. Why should they be sentenced 3 times longer than another human being based on the color of their skin or their postcode or if their parents were divorced? These types of factors. And this was all down to an algorithm, an artificial intelligence algorithm. And there are people still sitting in a prison due to this unfair, extremely biased issue. So it's remembering the human being that will be affected by the algorithm and the ethics of it is something important. And I don't think it's taught enough in engineering universities.
So these days, I'm observing people. The internet went to every village, every place in the world. So YouTube also, there are some applications, the social networks. They release their applications in regional languages. So here people are fighting with in the regional languages, and it is creating more bigger effect. Not the creator of that application don't understand the regional language. Until they understand what this guy is telling to this guy, the reputation of that person will will get spoiled. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of time to non-tech person don't know how to send an information or tell what happened to him to the concerned person. So until that, there are a lot of things happening because of applications which are running in regional languages. So especially YouTube. Uh, uh, Today I have a YouTube channel. I got a message from YouTube saying that terms and conditions, there is a particular rule that came. If your YouTube channel is a news channel, or if your YouTube channel is telling something which is current affairs, so you have to take the permission of the country. I mean, you need to have the permission of your own country. So that is what the meaning of that message. So they can't put that content. That is what came. So but before, I am seeing in my regional language, my language is Telugu. So people are abusing, politicians are putting negative comments, and that content, that data, until they give complaint or until they put some information to the concerned person, whatever should happen, that is happening. And taking care, people like you are seeing and trying to understand it in regional language and trying to remove what is unnecessary, what is bad. So it is taking so much time. So what is the solution for this, putting applications in regional languages?
Well, the solution, at least for me, I think is very simple. For example, Twitter made almost 2.2 billion last year. They could afford to hire people from your neighborhood at a good salary to look at the language. And I think it's irresponsible for social media companies not to invest in local people if they're giving services to local people. And instead, they've got to make 2.5 billion and not actually give a very good service. I see the same thing because I usually live in the Netherlands. They don't have proper Dutch language support. So we had a series of violent riots this past weekend, and the police shot into the protesters. I mean, all sorts of stuff was going on. And out of that, there was a lot of violent speech of, oh, we've got to, kill or hurt this person or whatever. But because Twitter has almost no Dutch language support, they don't do anything about it. Because they have not invested. So before a big tech company invests a product into your neighborhood and you have a language that isn't UK English, they should also go, I want to take money from you, but I want to do it in an ethical manner. I'm going to hire some of you to help us with, is this hate speech? Is this slander? Is this some sort of manipulation by a politician? Before I offer those services. Otherwise, they're just going, give me all your money. I'm not going to give you the proper service, and I'm going to buy another jet.
So what do you say as a security, as a person who is responsible for the security and trying to create positive effect to this planet, to the in the virtual world? So what do you say to the influencers who will be watching and listening to our conversation?
I would have to say, remember, we're human beings. Algorithms can try to change you. Don't let them. Security and privacy is both expensive and difficult to implement for everyone. I myself have found issues with the National Security Agency in the US. So if they have a hard time, everybody has a hard time, including myself. So don't beat yourself up if you click on a spam link or you fall for something. It's the way they're written is to do that. But at the same time, try to remember that if you are having a conversation with someone online, they're a human being, except in the case of social media where they could be a bot. And be aware of the fact that there are a lot of people who are trying to take advantage of you. So try to have real friendships outside of online, because you never know what an online bot is going to do to you. But in the end, be happy as much as possible that we can actually connect all over the world and try to think of the positive but ethical side of technology.
So at last, what do you say? What is your observation about my questioning in this conversation?
It's been great. It's been fantastic.
And have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
No, not yet. I have been traveling nonstop, unfortunately, in places where I have almost no internet. I don't understand. It's like I was in Italy last week, and all right, I do a lazy thing, right? I first get up from my alarm clock, and then I'll be like scrolling on the phone before I actually, get out of bed. Like, ooh, what news is going? I couldn't get anything. I couldn't take a Zoom call, and part of me was like, oh my God, what am I going to do without the internet? Then I was like, oh, wait, I can look around. Oh, look at that. It's real buildings and people. So it was like, oh, but at the same time, yeah. So I haven't been able to catch up because I've been traveling nonstop. I have no idea when this will be done. I've been traveling throughout the pandemic. Some places have been great. Some places like Italy, they've got terrible infrastructure. Terrible.
So when you have time, try to watch my videos. So
Oh, absolutely.
what actually I do is I took more than 500 plus interviews of different country people who are into different professions. Me actually, I did software engineering, masters in software engineering and graduation in computer science and engineering. And I'm trying to create some positive effect. I mean, trying to use internet in a positive way and try to put positive people and positive influential people on my channel and on my podcast. And some great people came to my show, and including you, trying to send
Yay.
trying to send some positive effect and influence the world, and for the betterment. As a responsible technologist, I want to do this. So how what is your observation, like me talking with different country people and trying to put this on my public platform? What is this going to happen?
Well, I think it's very positive because sometimes we forget that, again, we're all human beings. We all have kind of the same goal in life, have a bit of happiness. And it makes a big world very small without having to have the money to travel there, which I think is important. And I where I used to come from in the United States, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm glad I moved from there many, many years ago, was there were very negative opinions on people from different parts of the world. And these negative opinions came from people who had never visited those places and didn't interact with people from there. So they thought very, very negatively. For instance, especially against the Muslim world, I would hear a lot of very terrible comments sometimes from some Americans. And instead, I'm one of those people, you heard me, I'm traveling constantly, where I do like to interact with people in different cultures and learn about them and hear their perspective. What is the internet like for them? What are some of the challenges? And I think it's very positive to open that up to people and go, you might think that it's like this, but it's actually like this. And you might be experiencing the same problems, or they might have something you've never even heard about, and it could be great. So I think it's very positive to go around the internet world and find interesting people to talk about interesting things.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Absolutely. And what I'll do as well is I'll also have the Middle East Institute promote it, as well as any other applicable videos as well.
So if you send me the links of yours that you want me to share with my audience, I'll share.
Yeah.
They can know the information, and they can understand it. And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast website, internet, social media, everywhere, with your permission, for the positive change?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you again for giving me your valuable time.
Thank you. And I really appreciate it, because I really enjoyed talking to you. Usually it's a bit of, I would say, a boring conversation with people talking about the same things. And you asked me questions I didn't expect, which was wonderful.
So whenever you're free, try to watch my videos. I ask the same kind of questions to technologists who are into US, Netherlands, India, my country, Canada, Germany. So you're a busy person, but try.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.